You'd think coming home after 2 deployments would feel like peace. It didn't. My name's Nathan, 34. Former infantry, 2 tours. I came home to find my wife, Vanessa, a stranger in my own damn house. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Her hugs felt rehearsed. And her phone? It never left her hand. She used to meet me at the airport. This time, I got a can't leave work early. Keys are under the mat. I let that slide. Told myself civilian life changes people. We adapt. But 3 days in, I saw it. Her laptop was open on the kitchen counter. She stepped out to take a call. I wasn't snooping. But when the screen lit up, a message popped. Can't wait for him to be gone again. I miss our nights. No name. Just a preview. I clicked it. Thread went back months. Flirty at first. Then graphic. Personal. Familiar. It was signed. Mark. Mark is my brother. I felt my pulse spike. I wanted to throw the laptop through the window. But I didn't. I backed out, closed the screen, walked into the garage, and sat there in silence. This wasn't cheating. This was treason. I didn't blow up that night. Didn't even flinch when Vanessa came home and acted like everything was just fine. She tossed her purse on the counter, kicked off her shoes like she'd done 100 times before, and asked if I wanted Chinese or burgers for dinner. I said burgers. I was starving, but not for food. She didn't know I'd read the messages. She didn't know I'd seen my brother's name. She didn't know I'd recognized his style, his words, his tone. Mark. My own blood. That message wasn't from a stranger, wasn't from some coworker or an old boyfriend she reconnected with on social media. It was from my damn brother. And when I say that hit harder than anything I saw in combat, I mean it. I've been shot at, blown up, had friends bleed out in the dirt beside me. But this was different. This wasn't war. This was treason, and it was inside my house. I needed answers. The next morning, I woke up before her. Sat at the kitchen table in silence, sipping coffee like nothing had changed. She got ready for work, moving around the house like a ghost, like the woman I married had already died, and this new, polished, calculated version had taken her place. She kissed me on the cheek, grabbed her keys, and walked out like she hadn't shattered me the night before. As soon as her car left the driveway, I moved. I went straight to the closet where we kept the safe, digital keypad, my birthday as the code. Inside were documents, some cash, and our shared hard drive. I pulled it out and plugged it into my laptop. Most of the files were normal: tax returns, insurance forms, scanned receipts. But then I saw a folder I hadn't noticed before, labeled Family Budget 2023. Click. Inside were subfolders. One caught my eye immediately: house maintenance. I opened it. Photos. Screenshots. Text message backups. The first image was of my brother standing in my garage, shirtless, holding a wrench. That was from months ago. I'd been deployed. The second image was a close-up of a handwritten note in Vanessa's handwriting. The third, a selfie. Her and Mark. On my couch. Her hand on his chest. My vision tunneled. I clicked deeper. There were backups from a WhatsApp account, exported conversations between them. The texts went back a year. One thread was dated 2 weeks before my last deployment. It read, Mark, you sure he's leaving that weekend? Vanessa, confirmed. Friday morning. We'll have the weekend. Mark, good. I'm done sneaking around like this. Vanessa, 1 more year and the military pension hits. We play it right. We don't even need him around after that. I leaned back in my chair, fist clenched, breath stuck in my throat. She wasn't just cheating. They were planning a long game. Using me. Waiting for the benefits to hit. Then what? File for divorce? Claim abandonment? Get half of everything? I knew then. I'd been a mission to them. An assignment. Mark didn't just betray me. He was trying to replace me. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. But I didn't let emotion lead. Not now. I opened another drawer at Vanessa's side. Inside, under a pile of receipts and cosmetics, was something I hadn't seen before. A small black burner phone. Basic. Cheap. Probably $20 at a gas station. Dead battery. I plugged it in. Waited. When it powered up, there was no password. First thing on the screen? A pinned message. Miss you already. Below it? Mark. He's not gonna suspect anything. Just stay cool. Another message popped in from 2 days ago. Mark, let me know when you're alone again. I'll swing by. She was still seeing him. While I was home. Under the same roof. While I was sleeping in the next room. That's when I knew. This wasn't going to be a confrontation. This was going to be a war. A tactical operation. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to dismantle both of them, methodically. And it started with watching. Always watch before you strike. They had a plan. So now, I had mine. For the next 4 days, I said nothing. I moved like a ghost in my own home, quiet, deliberate, careful. I ate dinner with Vanessa, laughed when she made some half-hearted joke, even let her kiss me before bed. But while she slept, I was wide awake, gathering, copying, tracking. The betrayal didn't just hurt, it rewired me. I stopped being a husband. I became a soldier again. Focused. Cold. Strategic. I pulled every bank statement from the past 2 years. Scanned every line, every transfer, every charge. I built a digital map of their little operation. Turns out Mark had been slipping her money in odd ways, Cash App deposits labeled, reimbursement, Venmo requests from burner accounts for utilities, even mailed checks from a side LLC he'd set up 6 months prior. It was called Northbridge Solutions. No website, no real address. Just a P.O. box and a strip mall 30 miles out of town. I drove out there alone, parked across the street, watched. It was empty. Not just closed, abandoned. Windows dusted over, mailbox taped shut. Inside that box, he'd been laundering money. I guarantee it. Fake invoices. Fake consulting fees. Just enough to keep Vanessa's lifestyle upgraded while I was gone. New phone, new nails, designer bags from sales at work. Lies. But what hit hardest? She'd cut me out financially. Quietly, like a slow leak. I found she'd already moved half our savings into a joint investment account, only her name on it. And the money came from our shared military benefit deposits. She drained what was left, bit by bit, each withdrawal labeled miscellaneous. The real punch to the gut? She'd sold my motorcycle. The Harley I rebuilt from parts over 5 years. Gone. I found the receipt in her email. Sold 2 months ago. Mark's account received the payment. That night, I stared at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the man looking back. I'd spent a decade defending my country. Thought that meant something. Turns out, the enemy can be waiting at your front door with a key and your last name. I stayed silent. Let her think she still had control. Let her sleep easy, thinking I was clueless. But every morning, before she woke up, I sent another file to my encrypted drive. Screenshots. Account logs. Evidence. On the 5th day, she slipped. Told me she had a conference in the city and would be gone overnight. Left in a rush. Packed too carefully for a work event. I waited 10 minutes, then called Mark. Blocked. I used a burner app. New number. He picked up. Yeah. I didn't speak. Just listened. There was background noise, traffic, music, and then her voice. Hey, is that work? He paused. No. Just spam. Click. I grinned. Now I had proof. They were together. Again. The next morning, I changed the locks. Not because I was done, but because the real game was about to start. She came home Sunday night looking tired, but not like she'd been at a conference. Her makeup was too fresh. Her hair was curled, not pulled back in that tight work bun she always wore. Her heels were higher than usual. I could smell cologne on her, but not the kind I ever wore. I was in the living room, boots up on the table, arms crossed. She tried the front door key first. It didn't work. She knocked. I opened the door just enough to look her in the eye. You changed the locks? I did. Why? Why don't you ask, Mark? Her jaw tightened. Just for a second. But it told me everything. She pushed past me like she still owned the place. I don't know what your problem is lately, but I'm not doing this tonight. Then pack your things. You won't be doing anything here again. She laughed. A dry, bitter sound. You're being ridiculous. I didn't answer. Just pointed to the table, where the burner phone, the bank records, and a printed photo of her and Mark were laid out like evidence at trial. She stopped mid-stride. You went through my stuff? No. I went through my house. Everything in it. Including what you tried to bury. That's when the mask cracked. What do you want, Nathan? She said. You want to fight about this? You want to throw away everything because I made a mistake? No, I said. You threw it away. I'm just burning the trash. She left that night. But that wasn't the end. The next morning, I called in a favor. One of my old squad mates, now working cybercrime under a state task force. I didn't give him every detail, just enough to pique interest. A shell LLC. Money movement across state lines. Fake consulting documents. Potential fraud. He told me he'd look into it. Off the record. That afternoon, I pulled out the last piece, Mark's business. Northbridge Solutions. I checked the state registry. The LLC was real, but poorly done. Sloppy paperwork, a contact number that didn't even have a voicemail set up, and a federal EIN number that traced back to a mattress wholesaler in Georgia. He'd copied someone else's tax ID and tried to mask it under the radar. That was a federal offense. I printed everything. Then I checked emails. On Vanessa's laptop, I'd installed silent forwarding rules before she left. Every incoming message now duplicated to a ghost account I set up. That night, an email came through. From Mark. Subject: need to move the rest before he figures it out. Body: use the savings to pay off the balance. I'll handle the paperwork. If he asks, tell him you loaned it to your sister. He didn't know I was reading it. He didn't know I was already building the trap. The next day, I filed my own report with a local lawyer. Divorce proceedings. Evidence packet attached. Timeline of deception. Financial theft. Fraud suspicion. The lawyer didn't blink. You want to go quiet or loud? Loud, I said. I want him to feel it in his teeth. Loud meant public. And I wanted everyone to hear it break. First, I planted the bait. I scheduled a meeting with Vanessa's HR rep, an old connection from a security install I did before my last deployment. I accidentally dropped mention of a potential financial investigation tied to her name. That was enough to get her flagged internally. Then I moved on Mark. I knew he worked remotely from a co-working space downtown, one of those trendy tech hubs with free coffee and whiteboard walls. I paid a visit, not to confront him, to watch. Sat in a rented space across the hall, took photos. Timed his routine. When he left for lunch, I followed. Not close enough to be noticed, just enough to track. He met someone. A woman. Late 30s, business casual. Handshake. Envelope. Goodbye. I snapped a photo of the exchange. Later, I'd use a reverse image search to ID her, an accountant with ties to 2 other dissolved shell companies in nearby counties. Mark wasn't freelancing. He was laundering. I sent the image to my squad mate on the task force. 10 minutes later. You want us to open a case or let you keep going? Give me 1 more week. Because I wasn't done. Next, I contacted the VA fraud unit. Pitched it as an anonymous tip. That a civilian spouse was funneling veteran benefits into unauthorized accounts while the veteran was deployed. I included bank logs, screenshots, proof of the joint account withdrawals. That alone was enough to open a review. Then came the final piece. I hacked my own security system. 2 weeks before, I'd installed a new smart cam in the living room, one she didn't know about. It had cloud backup and audio. The footage was gold. 2 days before I confronted her, Vanessa on the phone, pacing, laughing. No, he's clueless. He's still adjusting to being home. All military guys are the same, stiff and slow. He still thinks we're in therapy. That line burned. I clipped it, saved it. Then I forwarded the footage, the bank data, and the shell company trail to my lawyer with a note. Let's bleed them. He didn't reply, just filed. Mark was served at his co-working space, in front of his clients. Vanessa was served at work, escorted out mid-lunch meeting. I made sure they both got copies of the divorce complaint. Not the generic kind. This one had every detail. Dates, names, amounts, photos, screenshots, the burner phone transcripts. All of it. By sundown, Vanessa's email had auto-replied with currently on leave. Mark's business website went dark the next day. I didn't stop there. I hired a private investigator, not for more dirt. Just to deliver one last envelope to each of them, a printed quote. A soldier's silence isn't weakness. It's patience waiting to detonate. Inside was a copy of the footage, and a list of agencies that had received copies of the evidence packet. IRS, VA fraud unit, state business oversight, and 1 news outlet. No threats, just facts. Let them choke on it. 3 days after the envelopes landed, the first blow hit. Mark was detained during a so-called routine traffic stop. They impounded his car. IRS field agent made the visit look casual, but it wasn't. He was pulled in for questioning over suspicious activity tied to Northbridge Solutions. They had tax filings, mismatched EIN records, and flagged transfers, some tied directly to my name through Vanessa's stolen access. Meanwhile, Vanessa's employer suspended her indefinitely pending investigation. Human Resources cited potential financial misconduct and undisclosed conflicts of interest. Translation: the HR rep I tipped had connected the dots. She was done there. But the real hit came from the VA. A compliance officer called to verify my current marital status. I confirmed the pending divorce and forwarded evidence of the unauthorized withdrawals from our benefits account. That triggered an immediate audit. If she touched a penny of my deployment stipend or health reimbursement outside authorized channels, she'd be on the hook. Civil penalties. Maybe criminal. I didn't stop. I sent the full packet of evidence to Mark's business partners, those two tech bros he bragged about investing with in his Shell consulting network. Both of them cut him loose in under 24 hours. One even issued a statement online denying all association with Northbridge. Then came the public rupture. I scheduled a sit-down with a local news outlet. Not primetime, just a niche column that covers veterans' issues and small business fraud. Told them everything. Redacted names, of course, but I gave them the bones. The betrayal. The siphon benefits. The sham LLC. They ran the headline that weekend. Deployed soldier returns to find wife and brother embezzling benefits through fake business scheme. It didn't take a genius to figure out who it was about. Local circles lit up. Mutual friends? Stopped calling her. Relatives? Most of mine went silent, but two of hers actually reached out to me. Her cousin, someone I barely knew, messaged me on Facebook. I don't know what happened, but I believe you. She always looked through people. You never did. I didn't reply. Mark? He went underground. Deleted his social media. Changed his number. Vanessa tried to play defense. Sent a vague message through her lawyer. Something about misunderstanding and miscommunication. She said she never meant for things to get ugly. Too late. I filed a motion for exclusive ownership of all assets and a fraud claim on any joint accounts. My lawyer said we had more than enough. But I wasn't done punishing them legally. I wanted them to feel it. Every night they laughed behind my back while I bled for this country. I wanted that burned into them. So I filed one more motion, a claim for restitution. If the court approved it, they'd owe me for every dollar drained, plus legal fees, plus damages for emotional distress. They weren't just losing money. They were going to lose peace. The courts didn't stall. My lawyer moved fast, too fast for them to react. Within 2 weeks, the judge signed a temporary order freezing all shared accounts and investments pending the fraud claim. Vanessa's independent investment fund? Locked. Mark's crypto-backed business account? Flagged. The IRS requested interviews with both of them. Quiet ones. No subpoenas yet. Just questions. But Vanessa cracked early. Her attorney reached out with an offer. Let's negotiate. She's overwhelmed. Wants to make things right. I told my lawyer to respond with one line. Tell her we're just getting started. Next came the debt collectors. Mark had been floating cash to Vanessa to make it look like she was flush, keeping up appearances. But once the accounts froze, payments stopped. Her car lease defaulted. The work travel credit card she used to cover hotels and weekend getaways declined. They called the house asking for Mr. Nathan Keller. I told them she'd committed identity theft. Filed a formal report. Now she had a police record. Her name appeared in a fraud alert database 2 weeks later. Meanwhile, I had investigators calling me. They weren't asking for more dirt. They had enough. They were calling to verify details. Dates. Deposits. Signatures. I gave them everything. I even offered to testify. They didn't need it yet, but it was coming. Mark finally resurfaced. Sent me a message from a new number. We need to talk. Please. This went too far. I didn't respond. The next morning, he showed up at my apartment. I didn't open the door. I just played the voicemail from his last burner phone out loud through the camera speaker. The one where he bragged about me being a sucker in uniform and how he'd end up with everything. He walked away without saying a word. 2 days later, I got a call from Vanessa's mother. She was crying, sobbing into the phone like she hadn't ignored my calls for years. She's not eating. She's terrified. Says people are following her, asking questions about accounts, files, taxes. She thinks you did something to her. I didn't yell. I didn't comfort. I said, she did it to herself. Then I hung up. That night, my lawyer forwarded me a notice. Vanessa had been served with a civil suit from one of the banks involved in the fraudulent transfers, another from the VA benefit fund, and a third from a former friend who co-signed her lease, claiming she falsified income documents. The walls weren't closing in anymore. They were already on her chest. And Mark? Last I heard, he was trying to get a job in another state, hadn't told them about the federal investigation. Wouldn't be long before they found out. But I didn't care where he ran, because they both learned the same thing. You don't ambush a soldier and walk away clean. The email came in at 2:13 a.m. Subject line, "Please, Nathan, just hear me out." I knew who it was before I opened it. Vanessa. Desperate, probably drunk, maybe coached by her lawyer, but it didn't matter. I clicked it anyway. It started soft, apologetic. Her words shaky, like she wanted me to believe they were typed through tears. I don't know what to say anymore. I messed up, and I know that. I got caught in something I didn't understand. Mark manipulated me. Sure. Just like the bank withdrawals, the burner phones, the photos in my bedroom. Just like forging my signature on a tax refund request 2 years ago. Just like selling my Harley while I was deployed and pretending it was stolen. She went on. You were a good husband. Better than I deserved. I miss you every day. Please, can we talk? Not about court. Just you and me. And then, the kicker. I'm not asking to fix everything. I just need to hear your voice. I stared at the screen. This wasn't about guilt. This was fear. Pure survival mode. Her options were gone. Friends? Ghosted her. Family? Ashamed. Brother? Radio silent. She had nowhere left to crawl. I typed 2 lines back. You heard my silence. That was the last thing I had to say. Then I hit send and blocked the address. The next day, Mark tried too. Called me from a new number. I let it go to voicemail. His voice was hollow, nothing like the smug, arrogant brother who used to crack jokes at my expense over holiday dinners. I don't know how to fix this, man. I didn't think it would blow up like this. I thought I could have both. You know? No, I didn't know. Because I was built for loyalty. For sacrifice. And he was built for shortcuts. I saved the message. Forwarded it to my attorney. No reply necessary. 2 days later, Vanessa filed a motion to pause proceedings, claimed emotional stress, mental health decline. Her lawyer tried to play the sympathy card. My attorney tore it apart in court. The judge denied it. She still had to show up next week. Trial was moving forward. Civil penalties, restitution, fraud. I'd see her one more time. But not for closure. Not for conversation. Just to watch her realize there was no mercy left. Court day came like any other. I didn't dress up. Just wore what I always wore, boots, jeans, button down. She showed up in black, like it was a funeral. Maybe it was. She didn't look at me. Didn't have to. I had the judge. The lawyer. The paper trail. My attorney laid it out clean. Over $42,000 in misappropriated funds. For confirmed forged documents. Identity theft. Benefit fraud. Supporting evidence from the IRS, the VA, and the banks. At the burner phones, the shell company, the joint accounts funneled into Mark's network, and it wasn't just a divorce. It was a dismantling. Her lawyer didn't fight. Just asked for leniency. Claimed she was emotionally manipulated, confused, not of sound decision-making. Judge didn't buy it. I was granted full ownership of all marital assets. Every account, every possession tied to my name, everything from the Harley she sold to the house she tried to refinance under Mark's LLC. I even reclaimed half the equity she tried to hide. She left the courthouse shaking. Didn't even make eye contact. And I walked out into daylight like it was the first breath in months. I didn't go back to the old house. Sold it. Used the cash to move 3 states away. Found a quiet town. Got a modest place near the woods. Started doing carpentry, real work. Hands-on. No lies. No shadows. No Mark. No Vanessa. I didn't tell anyone I left. Just vanished. The VA cleared my record. My benefits got locked to biometric security. IRS closed the fraud case with a formal apology and a refund on the flagged penalties I'd paid. Mark? still under investigation. Some say he's in Mexico. Others say he's hiding in Florida. Doesn't matter. Vanessa tried to contact me once more. Handwritten letter, forwarded through the lawyer. Said she was sorry. Said she had nothing. Said she was rebuilding. I didn't read past the first line. Burned it in the fireplace. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. You go to war expecting enemies in front of you. You never expect the knife to come from behind. But once it does, you never forget how it feels. And you never let anyone get close enough to do it again. It's been 2 years. I don't dream about them anymore. No courtroom flashbacks. No rage. No voices in my head playing old messages like echoes in a cave. That part's dead. What's alive? My name. My work. My peace. I rebuild a life out of the ashes of betrayal. Started my own business, Keller Restoration. Simple. Honest. I fix broken things now, wood and stone and steel. Things that stay fixed. I don't talk about what happened. Not to neighbors. Not to clients. Not to the woman I met 6 months ago at the hardware store. She asked if I was married once. I said, briefly, that's all she needed to know. The world didn't fall apart when they betrayed me. It just got clearer. The people who watched it happen and stayed quiet? Gone. The ones who whispered behind my back, who said I was too military-minded, too intense, too structured, they've gone silent now. Some of them even called me after the story got around. Said they didn't know, that they were sorry. I wasn't. They taught me a lesson too. Loyalty doesn't mean giving people rope. It means knowing when they'll use it to hang you. Mark's still missing. Last I heard, an indictment was pending. Vanessa? Working front desk at a massage clinic, a few towns over from where she used to brag about being a consultant. No license. Just a name badge and a silence she has to live with. I still have the last photo of us, tucked deep in a drawer. I don't look at it, but I keep it. Not for nostalgia. For proof. That I lived through it. That I didn't fold. That when everything collapsed, my marriage, my trust, my family, I stood still. Not angry. Not crying. Just watching. And when the dust settled, I was still there. Standing. That's the legacy. Not the betrayal. Not the war. Not the noise. But the silence that came after and what I built inside it.